You know what? I am gonna open a random fic. And, this one has no link, but it's in my works. I open, where is it? Copy. Which fic is it? We're gonna read this with no warning. See if that can get some, because there's still an hour left. Oh, it's an orphan account. It's called Tiny Fingers and Toes. It's 1,190 words. Okay. Okay. Tiny Fingers and Toes by Orphan account. Aizawa knew he'd be subjected to Midoriya's quirk eventually. He had just been praying the boy wouldn't get him until 3rd year. He should have known better. Aizawa knew he was fucked. He had known since he had seen Midoriya, a seemingly quiet general education student, use his quirk during the sports festival and win, that at some point that quirk would be turned on him. He had been content to listen to his husband's rambling words and just nap the entire festival. First-year students were always a goddamn mess, and he would need to analyze their fights in the safety of his home where he could groan and mutter angrily without having his voice broadcasted across the stadium. But when his husband started laughing hysterically in the second round, screaming about some general ed kid and nearly falling from his seat, well, his Ashi was loud and acted super peppy, but it took a lot to get him to actually laugh. And for him to laugh that hard, it had to be good. He had opened his eyes, peering through his bandages, and then blinked in utter astonishment and incredulity at what he had seen. He had opened his eyes, peering through his bandages, and then blinked in utter astonishment and incredulity at what he had seen. The second obstacle was a simple chariot team type obstacle. The students had to obtain headbands from other teams in order to gain more points. Aizawa had figured Todoroki would remain on top, that maybe Bakugo would manage to snatch the 10 million, but that wasn't at all what happened. Not at all. Instead, Aizawa was staring at a field of toddlers. Literal toddlers crying and blinking wide, confused eyes at their hands. The other teams were panicking, trying not to hurt them and get the kids to safety while also trying to protect their headbands. It was chaotic and genuinely irresponsible use of a quirk, and he almost strode out of the room to tear into whoever had used it, because what the hell? Who? He thundered, and Hizashi managed, wheezing all the while, to hand him 2 folders. The first had a 1B on the first had a 1B kit on it. Nieto Modoma. Nieto. NATO. That's how. NATO Monoma. Aizawa already knew the child had a copycat quirk and was considering teaching the kid about underground hero. Aizawa already knew the child had a copycat quirk and was considering teaching the kid about underground hero work, but had changed his mind when he saw the way the boy treated 1A after they nearly died from an attack. But the second file made him heave the most world-weary sigh he had ever released. Izuku Midoriya, a veritable genius by all accounts. He had perfect grades and records and was advanced beyond his years, taking both management and support classes. He wanted to be a hero and had applied for a transfer just a few days ago. Quirk, de-aging. It had been involuntary when he first got it, and when he seriously distressed was likely to lash out at anything, which had led to him having to take heavy suppressants for 5 years after he got it. The quirk would remind someone to a younger age than what they currently were. When used sporadically and not in a controlled manner, he couldn't determine the age, but when used properly, Izuku Midoriya could make them whatever age he wanted. The person would retain all their memories, but be reverted back to the emotional capacity of that age. Nato had copied this quirk, and as Aizawa watched, he could see the bright flashes of neon blue light flying from the blonde's skin like shots of electricity. His entire team had been reverted to the age of toddlers. He looked panicked, but nobody could get close enough for him to do anything. Aizawa's gaze turned to Midoriya, and the little green-haired student was holding a ball of green light in his hands, the other on a teammate's shoulder, as he murmured instructions down to them, steadily maneuvering them closer towards the wand without getting them stuck. When they were within 20 yards, the greenette threw his projectile. It slammed into Monoma's chest, and Aizawa watched as dark shadow safely caught the little 2-year-old that tumbled to the ground. Then they looked around the field. Their team was the only team left standing. Aizawa stared for a long minute as Hisashi spluttered out the winning teams, laughing all the while. There was a creeping existential dread curling in his throat as his phone began to ring. Already knowing who it was, Aizawa glumly pulled it out and answered. "Are you putting him in my class?" he asked dully. "Another problem child for him to handle." He was so tired. Why did he always get attached to the weirdos? Maybe because you were a weird problem child, Shota. Hisashi had snorted at him when he groaned this aloud. "I resent that." Principal Nezu let out a breathy little chuckle on the other end. "You do have several free spots after you expelled those 2 kids." "I hate you," he whispered soullessly. The principal laughed and hung up, but at the end of the festival... Festival? This word is spelled C-E-S-T-I-B-A-L. Festival! Oh my god, I'm an idiot. But at the end of the festival, when Izuku was bashfully accepting the first place medal, a sleeping 2-year-old Todoroki cradled in his arms, he called again. "I'll move him into your class by next week." Shit. And he couldn't even expel the brat. Izuku was smart, driven, sweet, and uncannily good at analyzing things. He wanted to be an underground hero that doubled as a rescue hero, and he wasn't afraid of anything Aizawa threw at him. Aizawa had known at some point he'd wind up on the receiving end of the boys' quirk. He helped teach these kids how to control themselves and their quirks, of course he would be. He had been hoping this wouldn't happen until the kid's 3rd or 2nd year, when he and Izuku had gotten to know each other and could laugh it off. He should have known an overachiever like Izuku would be ahead of his inner clock. In the end, it was a complete accident and turned back at the wrong time that led to his imminent demise. There was a sharp feeling in his chest and head as if they were exclusively being dunked in ice-cold water. The world seemed to be rapidly growing around him, and alarm shot forth in him as he found his entire class just staring at him with wide-open mouths. It only took a few seconds for giggles to erupt. A soft 4-year-old face scowled back. "Oh my god! Sensei, you are such a cute child." "Oh my god! Sensei, you are such a cute child, I could cry." That was Mina. She genuinely looked distressed, and Aizawa glared harder. His hair felt shorter than he was used to, curling around his face softly. His clothes had shrunk with him, and he knew there were no dark circles or anything under his eyes. It almost felt refreshing not to have that twitching, burning pain. Midoriya! Wait. Midoriya! Midoriya! He all but snarled, his voice high and childish. He whirled to the mat. The problem child had been practicing on, and felt even more despair strike through him. Ojiro was giving him the guiltiest look ever, holding a knocked-out Midoriya. "I'm sorry, Sensei, but it looks like you're stuck like that for a while," he blurted. "Shit." Who? Wait. No, that's not his voice. Who? What the fuck? Who? No, we have to look up Aizawa. Aizawa, angry. Is this it?
We know that a lot of you have concerns about our teaching regimen, but we can guarantee you that your kids are in responsible hands.
Mickey Nezu.
Really? Is it true that a teacher comes to school dressed in a dominatrix outfit every day? What kind of message is that supposed to be sending our kids?
Maybe to be more creative in the bedroom.
Maybe it's like, who? I can't do his voice.